Hey everybody, well, as we head into another weekend, I don't think I'm getting sick, but oh well, sucks to be me, hey? I think what we want to look at here today is a key to really something. When I started this whole thing, D6 for Life, had a lot of response, a lot of emails saying, what is D64 Life, blah, 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 blah. Really what we're going to talk about here today is a heart of what I really believe is my passion and calling in this day and age. And let's get into this. We're talking about the family value number 2, fighting for your heart, and it comes from a book entitled To Think Orange by Reggie Joiner. I just want to be really clear about that. Think Orange by Reggie Joiner, an incredible textbook of how to bring the church and the family together and what happens when we collide. Now, it's really more a strategy book for church workers, but I have encouraged parents or certain parents who've been looking at this and really been inspired and challenged by some of the things that are said. And you know what? It's a great book to pick up and take a look at. Getting back to fighting for the heart. And this is really the heart of what D6 is all about. And really D6 stands for is Deuteronomy 6. Just a chapter in there of the Bible that really says a lot about, I think, God's heart for the family, and really should be our heart for our families. It's very interesting. If you look back in the Old Testament times, we know that there was a lot of covenants. There was a lot of rules that were established for God's people. And there comes a point in time where a leader by the name of Moses, who had a lot of excuses why he shouldn't lead, has these incredible experiences with God in certain places and comes down to his people to impart commandments and things that they are to do as a nation and as a community and as individuals. And I want to read a portion of what he says here and just how compelling it is, I think, for us as families today, those who are struggling to be who God has called us to be. This is what happens. He says this. What he says in this one phrase changes the conversations that the Jewish people will have for thousands of years beyond this day. So Moses is coming down to his people to say something, and they're used to the rules, and they live by the rules, and they're good with that. But here's where it changes. He explains the missing link that so often occurs when we allow our faith to become a system of rules. He's about to share something that is going to completely and utterly rock their worlds and just blow them away. I think the tendency for us within the institution of church today is to be much like the Jewish people of those days. Many of us, and not myself, but many parents that I sit down with, grew up in very much a rule fabricated society where there was a list of things that you can do. These are the list of the things that you can't do without any kind of communication or reasons beyond why they weren't supposed to do certain things. And that's really what the Jewish faith was about for many years. And then all of a sudden Moses shows up and is about to rock their worlds. Here it goes. The only thing that separates a living faith from a ritualistic orthodoxy, which many of you parents watching this have grown up in, a real tradition, certain way of doing things, the whole cry, things have to remain the same, why change? The one thing that separates a living faith from a ritualistic orthodoxy is one word. It's one idea. It's one compelling force. And that word, that idea is simple. It is love. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. And this was something that is so radical to the Jewish nation and to that culture and to those communities. And I think we kind of take it for granted. Into loving the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. It seems like, well, yeah. But do we really, really do that? He says here, not only does Moses clearly connect the idea of obeying God's commandments to the issue of love, but he takes the concept of loving God to a much deeper level. He puts a cornerstone in place that Jesus will later use to build an entire kingdom. Over the next several chapters, Moses will restate the command more than a dozen times within that book of Deuteronomy. You think it's important? That's what our faith is established and really rooted in. It's not the rules. It's the relationship. It's a love relationship. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. Moses is fighting for something that is far more important than lifestyle. Excuse me, getting sick here, like I said, in lifestyle or practice. He's fighting for the heart. Fighting for the heart. He goes on to say, as seasoned patriarch, he knows that faith in God is not just the result of anything external. It's internal. And that's why it's so key for us as parents today in trying to raise our children that we so don't focus completely on the external. We need to fight for the heart of our kids. The heart of our kids, the internal. Yes, we see the manifestations of individualization. We see the manifestations of selfishness. Drives us insane. And sometimes we want to just go off on our kids. It's easy to do that. But he's suggesting that the issue is primarily about the heart. Let's remember that as parents today. Okay, the heart. And it's a critical point that shouldn't be missed in this text. Moses is warning about the danger of a generation losing their faith. Losing their faith. We are seeing a generation of kids losing something. I'm not sure it's their faith, but it certainly is. They're losing the connection to the institution of church, to their ritualistic orthodoxy. Finally, he goes on to say this, and this is so key. Are you ready for this? If you want to pass on a legacy to the next generation, here it is. It has to be transferred relationally. It has to be transferred relationally. Question I have for you, the challenge: how can anything be passed on relationally if stats are saying that fathers spend an average of 37 seconds a day communicating with their kids? Think about that. Anytime you pass down rules, practices, or truths outside of the context of a genuine, compelling love, you establish an empty religion. You promote an orthodoxy that will ultimately die, become abusive, or even incite rebellion amongst its followers. As we finish here, it says, Moses was drawing a circle around the entire faith of his people, and it centers on loving God. As parents today, as you head into another weekend, I encourage you and challenge you to love on your kids, to listen, to have very, very big ears and a very, very small mouth. Ask God for wisdom and guidance to ask the right questions. And when your kids give you responses that you don't necessarily like, don't jump down their throats. They're just trying to figure it out as much as you were when you were a teenager. Love. If we can learn as parents to love God with all of our hearts and all of our souls and all of our strength, you know what? It is going to rub off on our children, and we're not going to lose a generation to their faith. Anyway, fight for your kid's heart. Fight for your kid's heart. I challenge you to do that. Love to hear how or what you're doing in order to do that. And I say blessings upon you. Have an awesome weekend. Look forward to continue looking a little bit deeper into this whole idea of fighting for the heart. And blessings. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.